Hi everyone, I'm Deborah from Save the Redwoods League, and I'm going to show you today how we measure sword ferns in a scientific way. So sword ferns are the most common understory plant in the coast redwood forest. And our scientists at Save the Redwoods League have been studying them because they often show signs of drought before other species. So we would like to know if there's changes in our environment and climate, we may be able to see them first from our sword fern. So why is this called a sword fern? Well, if you look at the little leaflets or pennae, then you can see a tiny little protrusion right here, kind of like the hilt or handle of a sword. And that is where it gets its name, sword fern. So I'm going to show you how we are going to measure these ferns. We're going to actually do about 3 or 4 different measurements. The first one on this plant is we're going to count how many fronds there are. This right here is a frond, or we can consider it a leaf also. So we would like to know how many fronds there are on this whole entire plant. So I will start at the stem and I will put them in my hand and count them. So let's start that. 1, 2, 3. Great. So we found 30 different fronds on this plant. We are going to do 3 different measurements on one frond. So the first measurement is we are going to measure all the green part from the very tip down to the last leaflet. So we're going to take our tape measure. We measure in centimeters and use the metric system as scientists. So we are going to start at the very tip and measure all the way down to the very last leaflet. And this measures 62 centimeters. Then I'm going to turn the frond over and look to see if there's any spores. Spores are the way that these plants reproduce. And this plant does not have any spores, but if it did, you would see little yellow circles on the underside of the frond. If it did have spores, we would measure the length of the spores. So you would measure from the tip until wherever the last bottom spore is, and you would measure that length. The last measurement you are going to do is to look for herbivory. That's a big word. Can you all say it with me? Herbivory. Herbivory means has the plant been eaten? Has someone munched on it? So you're going to look to see if you see parts of it that have been munched. And here we have evidence that it has been eaten just a little bit. So we would document on our worksheet, yes, this plant has had some herbivory on it. And those are the 3 measurements you will do on a frond. Next, you will do those same 3 measurements on 5 different fronds. So let's do it on one more together. Great. Once you've done those measurements on 5 fronds, you are done measuring your sword fern plant. and you can move on to another plant. Thank you. That's how we do sword fern measurements.